We don't have an agenda written up for the media or anything, okay? Okay, we'll start out with, on the agenda for the Vigo Superior and Vigo Circuit Courts. You want to come up? We have some new information here. Explain to us on that, what the change from the last meeting.
Sure. Appreciate you allowing us to be here. Charles Johnson, Cook County Superior Court Division 1, here with Judge Kelly, Division 6. We're here making a request for opioid funds to help pay for case managers for both the adult mental health treatment court that's run out of Division 6 with Judge Kelly, as well as 2 positions for the RISE case managers that are underneath Virgil Mackey at this time. With the RISE case managers, currently there are 3 positions there. One is filled currently to have individuals that have been approved but haven't started as of yet. That program here, we do have Dasha Donald here in person with that program. Due to the cut in the Indiana Health funding, those positions were currently funded through that position, but in the year 2026, all of that funding has been cut, and so those positions will no longer exist starting January 1st unless there is an approval for funding from the opioid funds. If it's not, wouldn't mind coming up, just maybe get a brief recap of what she does with her program. I do have some information concerning her numbers, if I may approach and provide that to you.
You may approach the bench.
Hello, my name is Dasha Donald, and I am one of the original RISE case managers. So we work under a licensed clinical social worker, Virgil Mackey, who is the mental health coordinator for the Superior Courts. We work with individuals that have co-occurring disorders, so substance use disorder and mental illness. Many of the individuals that we work with have severe mental illness, they are chronically homeless, and they are tied up in the justice system. So what we do, we intervene once they are arrested. We go down to the jail and complete assessments, try to get them insurance, get them into treatment to lower their recidivism rates, get them connected to housing and other social services. And we've been doing this for the previous 2 years.
And these were all funded through the health department?
Yes, sir.
Which
Okay.
we know
Okay.
the state cut some of the health monies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you some numbers. Starting in 2024, we had engaged around 100 and something individuals at the jail or within the courts. 70 plus went to substance use treatment. We assisted 51 individuals with transportation. We had 40 mental health referrals, 13 doctor referrals, 3 dental referrals. We assisted 11 individuals obtaining job, 4 obtaining Social Security benefits, 9 obtaining food stamps. We got 6 of them housed. We had 1 group home placement. We had assisted 13 individuals with insurance, 11 got their identifying documents, whether that's birth certificate, ID, or Social Security card, and 16 competency evaluations. 2025, our numbers increased. We had 106 individuals that entered substance use treatment. We assisted 81 with transportation. We had 26 mental health referrals, 7 doctors referrals, again 3 dental. We helped 13 individuals obtain jobs, additional 4 with Social Security benefits. We helped 5 individuals get food stamps. We got 12 individuals housed in permanent supportive housing, so those individuals were chronically homeless. We have 4 that entered into group home. 1 is awaiting a bed. We helped 19 individuals obtain insurance, 15 obtained documents, and we had 4 additional competency evaluation. Since February 6th of 2024, we have engaged 320 individuals within the jails and the court system here in Vigo County.
Wow.
And that's not just the numbers too. They, transport these individuals in their own car, take them to places, take them to get food, help them in some of their worst times to try and make sure that they're not in the Vigo County Jail anymore, and get these simple things that may seem easier for people who've done these on a day-to-day basis, but for individuals that are in and out of the system, these are sort of tasks that they just aren't ready to take on themselves, so that we get them there and hopefully we get those things taken care of. They do great work. They service all 6 of the courts. With this request, we are just requesting the 2. There are currently 3, but we did feel that the necessary need for the mental health treatment court, as well as that case manager position, is just something that would overcome the need for the 3rd position as far as the RISE case managers. And we felt that as the courts in general, that these were the best requests that we could make as far as use for the opioid funds. These programs are directly targeting individuals that are in need of assistance, that are covered by what the opioid settlement funds were requested to be used for. Mental health treatment court is just getting started in those. That need itself is only going to continue to grow. Ms. McBride is also here as well, concerning that if we have any additional questions as far as that request. We do feel these programs are very important and have been successful so far, and would hate to see them go away without this assistance. One of the case managers, just a brief rundown of the requests on the funding. One case manager would be at 53. That was Donald here, and then the other 53 would be to service the mental health treatment court. The other case manager at $50,000 would also work with the RISE program, but due to a difference in degrees, that's the lower, why the lower salary. Per FICA, that's just the general calculation for all 3 employees. Insurance does cover 3 family plans. That's why that number was a little higher than we had hoped it would be. The only request, the additional funding for the RISE would only be some additional funding for mileage, as I did indicate that they are driving these individuals to programs, so it's just a way to reimburse them, what can continue to encourage them as well to help out in that way. All the other requests were covered, would be spent for mental health treatment court. Judge Milliken was unable to be here today, but she did want to just mention as well that as far as the RISE case managers, that those were discussed at the last meeting with Judge Magna Stinson, and it was her impression that that was something that she was excited about as far too as helping work on alleviating any pressure from the current lawsuit regarding jail overcrowding. Obviously, we're here, and if we have any other questions that we'd like answered, please let us know.
I'll ask a couple questions. Who would they directly report to? Would it be one of the judges?
So the RISE case managers would directly report to Virgil Mackey, and then Virgil reports to the chief judge, which would be me, for the reigning of this year as well as next year. I'm not sure who is going to be in 2027, but whoever the chief judges would be that. And as far as the mental treatment health coordinator, their immediate supervisor would be Ms. McBride, but then the Judge Kelly would be the overall supervisor for that case manager.
They were originally employed by who?
It was Health First funds from the health department. So the leadership structure was the same as far as reporting to Mr. Mackey and then to me as the chief judge, but the funding was through the health department. It was one of their programs with those funds.
That's all for me.
At that time, and last week you came to us with 169,000, something like that. Now it's double.
The only additional requests are so everything in the 169 would be included in this, but it would just be the 2 positions due to the loss of funding. So we just wanted to make sure that request was put out there in hopes to continue that program. We did feel like this program does align with the needs of the requirements of the opioid settlement fund, so we thought we'd at least make an effort to see if it'd be possible.
Opioid. Yeah. Can you give us the balances on the 2 opioid?
So as of today, in the restricted 1237, you have $1,020,000 and 96. Excuse me, $1,020,966.32. In the unrestricted, in the 1238, you have $218,712.42. And that's not to say you don't have more coming out at the end of the year. So that's just as of today.
Councilman, checked into this a little bit.
Yes.
Healthy Indiana funds were cut back 73%.
How much?
73%. So, and I think that they talked about this last April or May originally, that was what was going to happen. If I'm correct here, restricted opioid funds last quarter, for one quarter, was $140,505.21. And in unrestricted was $20,786.95. That's for one quarter. So I don't know what your other budgetary things that you budgeted out of it. I don't have that for you.
From the research that I've seen, you could sustain this for about 3 years, maybe. The opioid, if they don't cut it off even later on.
Just keep in mind also, we've had several requests throughout the past few months.
So we had Judge Reddy's request. We also had Brandon Halleck.
Cassie?
Do you recall any others?
Not off the top of my head. I think those are it.
Do you know the total of those two?
It's $250,000
Two.
for Judge Reddy and
150.
$150,000 for Brandon Howard.
So
Where'd that come from?
400,000. 250 and 150 were already
So-
requested from there.
So Brandon's would not be recurring. Judge Reddy's in theory might be recurring. And do we know how much is coming into that account each month, or each year rather?
Quarterly, if I remember right, it was like 290, 278, some thousand quarterly on one time. Not as much as on the other. It comes in 4 times a year. Obviously, we have a healthy balance. I said, obviously, we have a healthy balance right now. And I do believe that these funds should be used for something. We just have to be careful that we don't get to a point where we are expending those at a rate quicker than what we can handle.
I have a follow-up question for either of the judges. So my understanding is that these positions all existed prior to this, but under a different, under the health department as opposed to.
Correct. They were, it was 2024 was their original implication, so they operated on 2024 and 2025. And then, so the hope would be that we continue those, but right now the funding is not there for
Okay.
that. So if this would not be granted, then those positions would just all cease to exist.
So is it a fair assumption that we wouldn't really see different results necessarily, maybe the same or similar results? I guess what I'm getting at is there any chance that we could expect to see results of getting the jail even a little lighter on the population as a result of these positions being there? I understand it could grow if we don't do it.
Well, I mean, hopefully, well, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with regard to the mental health treatment portion of that, because we just got started in recent months with that, and as was pointed out, there's only a handful of people in there now, our expectation is that if we get the funding for this case manager for that mental health treatment court, that we will have a number of additional people who are currently taking jail space that will be released and will be getting intensive treatment, far more intensive than we can get them otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
So I just wanted to say, so in October, we got $20,786.95. And that's pretty much what we get a quarter out of the restricted, or non-restricted, and $140,505.21 out of, and that goes into the restricted,
Which would be around 161, if I remember right.
a quarter.
I'm sorry, I just looked.
Yeah.
That was my fault.
And so when they done this, it's a settlement, and it was like $938 million over 18 years. And then now they've also sued a couple more people, so we could possibly be having more money than that.
That is true, yes.
And what?
I said they have also sued some more companies, so there may be actually more money coming in once that settlement gets settled. But this is definitely for 18 years.
From when?
2 years.
18
It started in
more?
23.
Huh?
Started in 2023.
So right now, with this request, you're about 800,000 or 800 a year going out of that, right?
So between, based on what I just did quickly, it looks like you had about 250 to Judge Reddy, and then 377 to this, which is about 627.
And then 150.
And then 150, but that one's not necessarily recurring.
So that's 800,000.
And it sounds like we're bringing about 644 a year, assuming it doesn't go up.
Right. Okay.
And I understand the cost as well, and, you know, we'd hate to lose completely, and if it would be easier to, I mean, we'd be one case manager at the RISE program, one with mental health treatment court. I understand there's budget constraints, and we're trying to work to make sure that we at least able to continue the program. Ms. Donald has been more than what we hoped for as far as her contribution, so we'd hope to continue with her serving here and being able to well, build on the process that she's already gotten taken care of.
It's a kind of, if I may, this was sort of an afterthought, but the courts refer people to the RISE team for evaluations all the time. You know, we have this constant mandate to be exploring whether the people that are taking up jail space really need to be, and it seems to be 2 or 3 times a week in Division 6 alone, where there will be somebody who may be appropriate because to be released because they're only in jail currently for some low-level felony, but their presentation in the probable cause affidavit may have indicated some underlying mental health issue that could potentially make them dangerous, but without somebody going and checking on them and reporting back to the court, we really don't have enough information to feel safe to just release them without endangering the public. So it really is a crucial role. I just want to bring it up.
And just to build on that too as well, her ability to go and interact immediately helps us become more aware of what the underlying issues are. So if there are things that where they'd be appropriate to go into the mental treatment court, she's able to let us know, and then we can move that process along. That would also cover the drug court or the veterans court. So we get that information quickly, and then we're able to move faster into getting them into the programs, because once you identify the problem, the quicker we can get it addressed, the better results we get.
I've got another question, not necessarily exactly related, and it's probably out of our area that we should be asking, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there any concern, God forbid, they're doing a transport of these individuals and the individual does something to the person doing the transport? Obviously, there's one, the concern for the safety of the person doing the transport, but also as the county, what are we opening ourselves up to litigation-wise? Obviously, if, God forbid, one of them is our employee and they get hurt because we put them in a position to be transporting this individual, and would we potentially be wiser, I don't even know if this is legal to do, but to hire a group as independent contractors as opposed to being employees of the county, so that we're not putting potential criminals in a vehicle with an employee that's not prepared to defend themselves?
My-
Question for Michael.
My initial response, and I know county's, council's attorneys here as well, but my initial reaction to that would be that to the extent that that injury or assault or whatever you're envisioning occurred while they were transporting, it would be something that would be happening in the ordinary course of their employment and should be covered by workers' comp as the exclusive remedy.
I'd just like to say, too, we have a number of policies in place to address that very specifically. For one thing, if there's a big risk of that, they are not going to transport. They might, they have to get them to mental health treatment, do an emergency detention, involve law enforcement. If there's any discomfort, they are advised to take someone with them. Within the mental health treatment court, there's multiple pages of how to address that. We have on our advisory team the social worker from the police department, and if absolutely necessary, we could request they accompany us. So there's, and how you are to go, what you're to do when you're there, if you go to the home. So, not that there's no risk,
Sure.
but those things have been very clearly addressed in our policies.
Thank you, appreciate it.
When you do this transportation, are these people out on bail or release on some kind of release program?
Yes, many of the individuals that we assist, some of them are in pretrial services. We get referrals from probation as well, so we do work with those individuals and help them get to probation appointments and things like that. Again, like she said, we would go and do an emergency detention, petition that with Hamilton Center. The long-term goal is that we intervene at a critical time and then link them to Hamilton Center so that they can have that ongoing care management.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Okay, we want you to know if these budgets run out and we're gonna see more budget cuts, you know, these may fall by the wayside. So just kind of be aware, you know. And we hope they don't. We hope we can survive with our cuts and add that stuff and make these things work.
We completely understand the tough position you all have been in this whole year, and very much appreciate you taking the time to listen to us and approve it from here. Obviously, we'll see you at the end of December as well, see how that goes. But we appreciate everything, and continue to work with you. It's been a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next one would be Veterans Assistance.
Okay, I guess we're in front of you again today to find out about getting some more people for our office. And what we're really looking for is one full-time VSO, which would bring us up to 3. And then we'd like to take our only office manager up to full-time, where she's part-time right now. And when she comes in after having a day off, sometimes it's tough to catch up because the phone's constantly ringing. That's kind of what we're looking for. I'm not looking, I have an office out at the clinic, okay? And I'm not looking for an administrative assistant out there. We let Charlotte take care of all the scheduling for the appointments, both here and at the clinic. That way there's no crossing over, we're not bumping into each other, and but it gives us a little bit more freedom. Part of the justification for that, many of you probably don't know, the question was never asked, last year I had a health, shall we say, scare. Heart attack and cancer. So we fought those things off pretty good. Just to show you how dedicated I am, I'm not putting this on anyone else because it's always a personal decision. After I had my heart attack on the 13th of April last year, which was a Saturday, I was back to work Monday. Because me not going to work impacts at least 6 to 10 veterans every day. I can't afford to take a day off. Okay. The reality of it is there's going to come a point in time when I may not be there. So you're going to have to backfill that position, and if we don't have someone like William ready to take over the reins, then the office is going to be behind the curve. I think I've put a pretty good standard of how many vets we can see. Since I started here 5.5 years ago, we're way over 5,000 veterans that we've seen. Do the math. got so many hours a day. It's very cramped. I do have the room out at the clinic. We can put at least one more person out there, let them do some training. I would be the trainer at that point, but the best way to learn this business is to do it. There's no book you can read on how to interact with veterans that have disabilities. That's just something you're going to learn along the way. So we, you know, not as a derogatory thing, but I was under the assumption when I started here, I'm the department head. Well, the department head makes exactly what everyone else does. There's no increase in pay for me. For me, it doesn't matter. I have full benefits through the VA. I don't take part in the medical system here. I don't take part in any of that. I did sign up for the PERVS retirement. I never thought I'd be here more than 2 years. So
Well, we're glad you're still here.
I wake up every morning glad that I'm still here.
Yeah.
But the most important thing on that is we're able to help the veterans get their disability compensation, which in the last 5.5 years, we have increased that volume of income in the form of disability compensations and pensions. And some of that's survivor pensions where the veteran passes away, the wife can still get a little bit, not of his original fund, but there's other pensions that she can apply for. And all this has to be, I didn't learn it overnight, believe me. I didn't come to this job doing this in the outside world, okay? I came to this, we sat down, said, okay, we're gonna learn it, we're gonna get it better, and we're gonna do whatever we can for the veterans. And that's about all I've got.
Well,
Thank you.
I know you've done a good job, and I think you got a good man there that's gonna help you out a lot. And
Nice work already.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
And I know through the times, we had a lot of complaints and problems with the Veterans Assistance Program through the years. And we made the change when we hired you. And I've had a lot of good compliments from people.
Good.
And so we want to do what we can for the veterans. And so,
Absolutely.
any other questions from the council? So what we're adding in is full-time VSO, right?
Correct. And then bringing Charlotte up to a full-time office assistant or whatever.
Okay.
That way she can be there for the whole time. And like I said, I'm not asking for an assistant out at the clinic, believe it or not. We have a pretty good system. The girls where you check in, if they see one come out next, you're up, so they help out immensely.
Well, I think at budget time, there was some confusion on what you were asking for. And that's why we made a part-time position a full-time position, knowing that you needed that. So, any questions?
So the difference between today versus what we voted on the last time we voted to take a part-time to a full-time, and now if I understand correctly, you're asking for
A full-time VSO, yes. Oh, no, the admin to be brought up to full-time. And then we need an additional VSO so we can get some training done and
I think we're still not being clear with each other,
As
sorry.
I understand it, the part-time person was moved to full-time VSO, so now we have 3 full-time VSOs.
No.
We don't have an admin.
we have,
I believe it turned into a full-time VSO, is how it was. So right now, we have 3 full-time VSOs, but no administrator to help with the day-to-day stuff. So we're looking to add her job back, technically.
So they're budgeted right now for 3 full-time VSOs.
They now also need a part-time.
No, now they're wanting to make Charlotte their admin full-time. How it's presented in the case, it says that they're wanting her to be part-time still, to bring that position back. But if I'm understanding, you're saying that you want her to be full-time as well?
yes.
So you'll have 4
Full-time
full-time
admin.
staff members.
Correct.
Okay,
We're the smallest department here.
that's fine. We would just have to figure out a grade and see where she fits, Because as of right now, you guys presented it as part-time still with only like 1,500 hours. So we would just need to kind of get that figured out, get with HR and see what we can do for you guys.
Just a reminder, one of the perks of this hiring disabled veterans is we have VA health coverage, so we don't take part in most of the healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
So that does save the county, I don't know, 40,000 per. Just a reminder. I don't know if you guys are probably already thinking about it, but.
So Devin, what they would need would be a motion to move Charlotte to full-time admin. Is that correct?
Correct.
Full-time admin.
And then have HR put a grade on it. I mean, that's what would establish.
Okay.
Can I add to that? We would need, if they're going to have an administrative assistant, I think the majority of them in the salary ordinance are a grade 5. You don't currently have an administrative assistant. Charlotte is an assistant VSO, which has very specific requirements on who can fill the position.
That is true. I was going to bring that up. The rule is a veteran can be hired as a VSO. Charlotte is not a veteran. Okay? She's not married to a veteran. The situation with Vicki Albright is very unique. She had worked in the office for 2 years, that's a requirement, and she was married to a veteran. So that made the qualifications there. So when she got promoted last January, then she had all the requirements met. She'd been in the office over 2 years and married to a veteran. With Charlotte, she's not married to a veteran, but her father, I believe, was a veteran. So we don't know if that would fill that notch or not, but we hadn't really looked at Charlotte being a VSO. She does a very, very good job of being the office assistant, and that's where we'd like to keep her, just at full time.
Should we have Jordan state what the motion should be?
Yes.
Jordan, would you state what the motion should be?
So technically, when turning that position to full-time, the third one eliminated what we thought was an admin spot. So I think we need to make a motion to add a full-time admin.
Charlotte's title. Probably to add a full-time administrative assistant is probably what they're looking at.
Yeah, because it sounds like they have us down as having 3 VSOs.
In the salary ordinance.
Yeah, but they don't.
That's what they voted on before.
All right,
In
I'll
Correct. Yeah, so I think you would just want to add, if the 3 VSOs have been passed, I think you would just want to add an administrative assistant to their department.
Full-time.
Full-time.
That's it.
All right, I will make, I'll make a motion to add an administrative assistant or change the administrative assistant to a full-time position.
Second.
Is that covered? Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, guys. Sorry, there was confusion on that.
It was really confusing. I apologize.
Yeah.
Thank you for hearing us out.
Next.
Well,
That's the first step. And we don't really have anyone identified to fill that VSO slot, so now it's on us to go out and find somebody qualified.
Okay, thanks. All right.
Next, we've got
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we'll have is the salary ordinance. I think that's what we have left.
Travis is getting to
So are you talking about elected officials now?
Yes.
Okay, you have 2 letters in front of you. One of them is from Mark Linkenbeard, and then the other one is from Chris Schweitzer. If you guys wanted to read those over And then I also gave you a few different scenarios depending on what route we're wanting to take when it comes to elected officials, just to give you guys kind of an example as to how much more money you could potentially be spending. The first graph will show you what you guys have already approved in November, and it has your total for salaries, FICA, and PERF. And then anything in red underneath another chart will show you the difference. How much either you could save or how much you would spend additional, depending what route we go.
And I want to thank you for getting all these scenarios put together for us in a short notice, and go through these guys. If you see that, and then also we have the book showing comparisons in other counties, also on page 3. Of the booklet. We just got these today, so bear with us. Oh, more reading. I'm a slow reader.
Do you want to, are you wanting to speak at all?
You think we're gonna read this?
I can speak in some of it.
That might be
Why don't you give us a
quick Cliff Notes version?
Nope.
Let Kevin go first.
Oh.
Grab his stuff.
Okay.
I'll be ready to speak.
They're probably tired of hearing from me by now. I guess I just wanted to throw out some information. I know you've had plenty placed in front of you right now to go over and digest. And I know you guys have a tough job. And, you know, you've had a lot of people through the year and even today come in requesting new positions. And depending on the office, because I don't know what those other offices do. So depending on the office, there are offices that probably need more staffing. But the hard truth is, by the end of this year, we're going to see that at some point, we're going to have to be more efficient with our staff. We're going to probably have to have cutbacks in some offices. People are going to have to take on other roles that they haven't done in the past. I have worked with Harrison's office, as you know, from the middle of this year when I requested my office to go to the midpoint. And we removed a staff member. Since then, I had a staff person that left my office, and instead of filling that position with a person equivalent to what was there before, I filled it with a person that does work for my office and Harrison's office. So again, we're trying to work in conjunction to start reducing staffing, because ultimately, that's what it's going to come down to. With all the cuts the state made, Senate Bill 1, they've been legislation sessions already working on Senate Bill 1, trying to retract some of the stuff they've already done. So it's hard telling what's going to happen. So those are the hard truths, and that's part of what you guys have to face and what you decide. I've also had people ask me why I advocate for the employees and the elected officials. And I think ultimately somebody has to. So I have advocated for all the employees of the county. Right now, I've advocated for all of the elected officials. It may not necessarily be what someone wants, but it's what I think is fair for the system, and ultimately we have to make work. That's one of the reasons I was pushing for elected officials to go to the same midpoint as the rest of the county employees. And again, I know everyone hates to hear the word Baker-Tilly study. I don't think it's that bad of a study. I think the way we implement it's what's going to make it work or not work. But if we go back to that study again, Brad, you had suggested, and you guys three had agreed to a 3% increase for elected officials, leaving them where they were at in the current cycle. Just to throw out some numbers, if you take an updated Baker Tilly 25 percentile, which is the bottom, I mean, it's not the minimum, but it's the bottom. The updated 25 percentile numbers for example, a 517 is 81,763. And that's just to get it to the 25 percentile updated. The number that was offered at the last meeting was 79,768. So as you can see, what I've said all along, you're lagging back to where you're even behind the 25 percentile. Ignore the midpoint. You're behind the 25 percentile. So that was one of the things I had requested at the last time, at the bare minimum, take them to the true 25 percentile. Again, I don't necessarily think that's right. I think it should be the midpoint of all other employees of the county. The last thing I wanted to state was, in the last meeting that the full council held, the highway department, and again, I don't want to feel like I'm picking on highway department. They do an excellent job. They keep the roads clear when it's going to be bad. They help keep us going. We need the highway department. They do a great job. But when Larry came up and requested the 3% raise for his highway department, that actually puts them again at a 3% midpoint above the rest of your county staff. And the reason that flew so easily was because it doesn't come out of county general. I don't think that should be how we determine if we're going to give someone a raise or not give someone a raise or treat people differently. It shouldn't depend on what fund it comes out of. And the reason I'm throwing that out there is there are several offices that have non-reverting funds. In the assessor's office, I have the reassessment fund, which is a levied fund that was mandated by the state years ago. My levied reassessment fund has been dipped into so many times over the past years. My predecessor had a balance in there of over $3 million that she had invested. When previous councils realized that, they started taking more and more money out of that fund. Now it sits on about a $1.1 million surplus. Part of that dipping in is that reassessment fund pays for the yearly flyover that we have, which is $173,000 a year. Everyone in the county uses that flyover because that's the imaging you get in Snyder. The county assessor's office pays out of reassessment fund for all of Snyder Beacon. Everyone's familiar with Beacon. The assessor's office out of reassessment pays for all of that. The assessor's office out of reassessment also pays for your auditor's tax system for LAO, for the yearly maintenance. We actually paid for the purchase of it under the previous administration, which was $200 and some thousand. Now we pay for the maintenance of that. That's out of a levied fund that was designed for the assessor's office. And I guess I'm taking a long way to get to my point. If we were to stop taking everything out of reassessment fund and just use it for the assessor's office, I would be in the same position as Larry. I could say I want to give my people a raise out of reassessment fund and it'll sustain it. But I'm not in that position because it was used to help the rest of the county. So I'll still go back to the same thing I've been saying all along. I just think it needs to be fair across the board. Treat all of your county employees and your elected officials the same. I know it's tough when you've only got so much money coming in, but if we have to make other changes elsewhere to make it work, it still needs to be what's done to be fair. So I just wanted to say that before you guys made your decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Travis?
Ladies and gentlemen of the Budget Committee, I submitted some paperwork to you to kind of go over what you guys had discussed the other night in the county council meeting when I wasn't available. It goes through and explains the position of the coroner, the duties of the coroner's office, as well as the difference between full-time and part-time. So in that information that you have are some of the standards from state and national that's compared that says that anything over 30 hours is a full-time position. So I wanted you guys to take a look at that and kind of see what the standards are. It's no secret that our office numbers are up as far as case-wise, and that we have an ongoing crisis with mental health and with drug addiction and stuff like that. So, you know, you hear it from my office, not as much as you hear it from community corrections and the jail and everything else. But, you know, when we work on those numbers, not just from our office, but from a county standpoint and a city standpoint, that'll help make our numbers go down too. No different than it making the jail numbers go down and stuff. So, you know, those numbers are what we do on a daily basis and on a weekly basis and a yearly basis, submitting it not only to the state with reports, but as well as looking at it locally to see what we can do to help to bring some of those things down. So, our positions as coroners, we have 4 deputies, including the chief deputy. Those people work a 13-week rotation every year, Sunday to Sunday, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So they are available at all times. As the acting coroner, I'm available 365, 24 hours a day. So I took a phone call, which is why I didn't get here until late on a case that when I leave here, I'm going to go back to. So, and then I attend autopsies. It's a lot more intense than what a lot of people think, and I don't think that they understand completely what the coroner's office does. I will say that in the past, it may have been treated like a part-time job, and maybe it doesn't need to be a full-time job, but I treat it completely differently. You know, I'm at the hospital 4, 5, 6 times a week at least, if not multiple times a day. I'm in and out. I'm in Donna's office. When I took office, there were 52 open cases that were pending, which is ridiculous. So there are currently 4 open cases. So we run single digits, and I think that in consideration for our office, we are the last people to talk to the relatives. We are the ones that help them with the closure. We help them finalize everything. We help them to go to the next level of grief and move forward. So it's a lot. There's a lot of paperwork. You know, I picked up a report just a little bit ago, and that report that I'll read through this evening is, 12 pages long. So every time that we have a case, which this year to date, there's been 190, let me get to those numbers. Yeah, we're over 220 now. As of 12/2, so the first of the month, we were at 196 autopsy cases, a little over 220 cases. So in the past, the average that we had done has been somewhere around that 200 mark as far as cases, and around 174 to 185 cases. So those numbers are trending up. I broke it down. We've had some blunt force ones, we've had a couple cancers, we've had 2 drownings, 4 unsafe sleeps. So what I've done in our office is that I've started working more with Joni Wise in the health department to try and figure out how we can help educate. We've worked on some grants and stuff like that that we haven't got awarded, but as we continue to work on those things, I think that we can help to create better education for safer sleeping and for swimming. We've had 2 child drownings this year also. So it's no secret that our job is mentally taxing. So, and I say that from my deputy's standpoint. We see some of the worst of the worst. So, even though they work those 13 weeks, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the cases that they do work on not only are time consuming, but they're mentally consuming. So, the only thing I ask is just that you take a look at things and consider that, like everybody had said, that it's a full-time position, and I believe that it is. So, and I believe that that's the way it's worked. And we don't take any mileage, we don't take any stipends, we don't do any of that. So, does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. I have a question for the council. For you, if it's, can I go? Okay. Do we, as the budget committee, have the ability to change that from a part-time to a full-time? We can make a.
Well, wait a minute. No, just hold off. Don't.
Well, it's
No, I'm just asking. I don't know what
no.
we can legally do. I'm asking.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the action that you took in November, I think did take that position to a full-time position, right? I mean, the salary reflected, you took his pay to every other elected official's pay. I mean, couching it in full-time or part-time for an elected official, I don't think is really relevant. In terms, it's a matter of the compensation, and that, you know, Mr. Norris runs the office as he sees fit, and the electorate will, you know, determine that as they see fit. And so it's not a matter of he would, I mean, he's entitled to all the benefits of a full-time employee already. So I don't know how that designation changes anything.
Because the elected official already comes with the benefits.
I guess, and I may show my ignorance here, but I often hear when people speak of council, they say, well, you guys are part-time. And then I hear people say, well, coroner's part-time. And I hear people say that assessor's full-time. Who dictates that? Or where is that?
It's not. I mean,
It's the office holder.
it's not. It is. I guess you could call it a generalization, Councilman. You know that there's, you know, you as a council person could choose to spend 8 hours a day on council business, and now I think the compensation that is afforded that position would not allow much of a lifestyle for anybody choosing to do that, right? So it's, I think, inherent that the position is not compensated at a level where you could do it as a full-time job. I couldn't speak to all the historical context, but I'm guessing that's the same generalization that was made with regards to the coroner, that it is a position that was not in every instance, but generally held by somebody with a MD or DO who had a practice, who was not, you know, I mean, obviously Dr. Kaur was a licensed pathologist and he was the one actually doing the autopsies, but in the vast majority of other instances, that doctor is not the pathologist who's doing the autopsies, and it is not a condition of the office or a, you know, it's not a condition that the person who runs for the office be a doctor. So it was just, the statute has a enhancement for an elected official who has that professional license. And it being classified as a part-time is not any formal, you know, Baker Tilly didn't classify it because somebody said it was part-time. Well, it's not classified that way in any statute or any county code, or it's just an elected position that isn't compensated at the full rate as other elected positions.
Okay.
And, you know, that can be remedied, you know, not with a full-time, part-time determination. It's just a determination of increasing the salary to an amount that you could reasonably say would support a full-time person, you know.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
I think on a couple other notes, having been on that side of the counter there, you know, I think one of the things that needs to be looked at is, like Mr. Wright was saying, when it was an MD and it was paid full salary plus half, I think it's important to note that prior or post Dr. Kaur, that position was also held by an MD. So they were paid for that license, but they weren't doing anything any different than what my position does. So in the past, prior to me, the council and the county had already been paying that amount, you know, the amount that was suggested, or close to it. So one thing I would suggest is, should you pass it, that goes away. Because whoever is in this position, whether it's me or my successors, is going to be compensated for the job that they're truly doing. So one of the other things that I think that we need to look at some point is the compensation that's paid to my deputies. They're not put in for the 3% raises. They don't get any cost of the living raises. You know, those people that work those 13 weeks a year, 2,180 hours, ballpark, what it comes up to, you know, they make like $8,000. So we don't get any clothing allowances. We don't get any of that. So I think that that's something, regardless of what you guys choose to do for my position, I think it's important that at some point we take action and look at those positions also. Because I think that those people deserve more for what they go through. You know, they are the lifeline of this office. So, you know, everything goes through them, to me, to Donna, and then on to the state and stuff. So, and since I've taken over, I've put more duties on them because I've brought the office further into the 21st century. You know, everything that we do now is done on a cloud. Before it was done on paper, it was brought to Donna, handed to Donna, and put in, and could be a couple days before that was turned over to Donna because of schedules that they couldn't make to get in here by 4 o'clock. Now they upload it instantly. So what happens with that, and you'll see that in my letter, is that allows each of the law enforcement divisions now have access to upload their files to ours. So we get their reports, we get their scene pictures. Then when I go to an autopsy, I'm able to walk in and I can open up my laptop and I can show that to the forensic pathologist, and I can say, hey, you know, when he asked, what was the position of the arm? What was the position of the weapon? I have those pictures in real time so I can show it to him, which helps to speed up the process, to be able to get the death certificates, to be able to close the cases. So.
Cool. Well, there's some history behind the deputies. One time we had 4.
Right.
Then they cut them down to 2.
Yeah.
And gave them a little more money.
Right.
And then it changed again. Now you've got 4 again, but
right.
they're making less money. So
right.
That's how the history of that went through the years.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you
for
the
problem.
information.
If you guys have any questions, reach out to me.
Mr. Chairman, I have done some research in the last couple of days about the full-time, part-time. In Indiana, it is determined by the county whether it's a full-time or a part-time deputy. I mean, coroner, full-time or part-time coroner. The counties that have determined to have full-time, it's voted on by the council. Monroe County, Tippecanoe County, Lake County, St. Joe County, Hancock County just voted for next year to have a full-time. Bartholomew, Allen, Marion, Hamilton, Madison, Dearborn, and Floyd, and Vigo just voted to have full-time, determined by the county council. That's according to the Indiana statute and the Coroners Association. So
okay.
I do want to bring up
one
last thing also, that this office prior has never generated any revenue. We've generated $3,900 in storage fees at the new morgue, which has been good. And prior, we have not went after the state and federal prisons for reimbursement for autopsies, which is our legal right to do. So that's going to equivalent to about just shy of $7,000 in reimbursement. So, you know, we are saving some money in some areas and trying to figure out ways. You know, I've reached out to the surrounding counties that Dr. A, that is our forensic pathologist at Regional, you know, he does 6 other counties, and so I've reached out to them and said, hey, you know, we can provide body storage for you. So, you know, trying to find ways to be able to make it where it's not just a cost to the county, where it has some income coming back in to help offset things.
Good job.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to give a thought. This council decided when this year in budget we were going to move everybody up to midpoint. and try to get everybody, in 23, the highway department got theirs, but they didn't get their raise in 24. And I just feel like this, I hope I never hear the word Baker Tilly again. But I just think that this council came into this job looking for bringing everybody to a position and a midpoint position. And I think we ought to stick with that. And
Yeah, I appreciate
put
it.
everybody at midpoint and go.
And like I said, I've been on that side, and you know, there's a lot. There's a lot of outgoing and not as much incoming.
That's
so
the problem.
I feel for you guys. I understand your decisions either way. So, and I will say I do love what I do. You know, it's an amazing job that, you know, I would say that if I didn't like it, I probably wouldn't work as hard as I do. But I love it. So it's interesting, and it keeps my mind going, and it keeps me busy daily. So it's a good thing. So.
Okay, well, thank
All
you
right.
for the info. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, like I say, if this, I think we should just go with what we decided at the beginning of this and move everybody to midpoint and go. But
Can you
You got-
describe what that means?
midpoint was what the Baker Tilly study, take everybody to the midpoint plus 3.
You're saying
Okay.
including elected officials
Yes.
and not changing any pay grades?
No. Right.
Okay. So I have a couple questions. If that happens, what is midpoint for council? Are we voting to give ourselves a raise?
$13.
I don't really know.
Can anyone in here answer that question?
I don't,
Yeah, I mean, you're not, the council's is not classified in the Baker Tilly study.
okay. We had heard figures at one time, remember?
Yeah.
Somebody
We
told
we
us.
have absolutely been presented figures and a grade.
Yeah, you're right. That was formulated by our HR department.
Okay.
To fit you into the salary ordinance.
There was a
So-
Baker Tilly that was read to us at one point.
No, I'm not, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, I think the information on the pay charts for the Baker Tilly study just is, it has just been in, the council and coroner have been integrated into that through our system of doing the salary ordinances every year.
You're the one that's been on here before, so, and to be honest with you, I don't care if we don't get a raise. I'm okay with it.
Well, I really kind of do, because I think for the future, for people to run for council, I mean, it should be a reasonable, you know,
Not that I have a say in it, but I do think that if you're gonna vote to keep the council's pay the same, and this is just my opinion as a taxpayer and as a worker in the office and see what you guys do, I do think there needs to be either a per diem or a stipend or something for the people on the committee, especially the budget committee.
We're going to discuss that. You know, and next year, the council's job's going to be totally different. We're going to be busy, but because of the state things that they want us to do, and turn most of this over to them. But I don't know a figure. I never looked at a figure of what midpoint would be for the council, and we heard $45,000. You know, I mean, we did hear that, didn't we?
66.
Huh?
66 or something of that nature, yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
But I like I said, if we give a percentage raise or something like that, you guys can put it in there. But I think we need to follow the Baker Tillys and then throw it away.
and never say it again, never ever say it again.
And then throw it away and never hear Baker Tilly again.
So my next question would be, in anything that we have passed in any of the prior meetings.
Does that all
Could-
go away?
Well, number one, does that all go away? And number two, at one point I had pitched that corner goes to a 5.6, she's a 5.14 right now, and then I presented at one point a 5.16 and then a 5.17 to match
Just bring it up to what everybody else is making full
all the
time.
other elected officials. So my question is where do we stand on pay grades with corner? Where do we stand on pay grades with really anyone else? Any of the elected officials?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think the last thing that was approved, so it had commissioners at a 5.18, the auditor at a 5.17, and everyone else at 5.16, besides Harrison.
Can you repeat that one more time?
So, the commissioners at a 5.18,
Right? Mm-hmm.
the auditor at a 5.17, all other elected officials with the exception of the Harrison Township Assessor at a 5.16. The Harrison Assessor at a 5.15, and then the 7 members of the Vigo County Council with no grade and the same base salary from 2025 to 2026, which was $21,825.
To reiterate, corner is at a 5.16 currently. Gotcha. All right.
Why
Here's,
is,
go ahead.
Kevin, why is the Harrison Township assessor lower? Township.
I'm to blame for some of that.
I mean, I'm just curious.
A year ago, I made the comment at budget time that Harrison Township assessor, everything out of the Harrison office has to run through the county assessor's office. So they should not be the same grade as your county assessor.
Got it.
So at that time, what I thought at that time was that because those two offices are required to have certifications, I thought it would move the Harrison Township assessor equal to all the other elected positions. It would move the county assessor to the same as the auditor, and then everything else would be like it is. So that would make a difference between county and Harrison. What happened was, they moved Harrison down to a 5.15, kept county with 5.16 with everyone else, bumped the auditor up to a 5.7. So that's the history of how.
But she also gets the stipend. That's what I was gonna say.
She gets the certification, which is no different than highway department getting the CDL.
But the thing is, back in the day, she's one township, not the whole county. That's the reason why
I
they
got
had
it.
separation. Before that, even with WIS, back in the day before Baker Tilly started running.
You said it again.
Before they started Baker Tilly under WIS, Harrison paid the same as county. So I don't know when it changed, but when I came into office, Harrison paid the same as county.
I remember the council saying she was one township versus the full county. That
Yep.
was one of the reasons why they have her smaller budget.
So that's why the differentiation.
I did contact Cheryl Loudermilk just to ask her opinion of that, and that is exactly what she said, because and I quote, just because it is a township.
Right.
Okay. So what I was going to propose does not sound like it fits the needs of the majority in here. So I'll step away from my proposal and
Did you want to add the per diem?
so my proposal was going to be to move every body other than commissioners and council to a 517 as far as elected officials, and a 3% cost of living adjustment for all elected officials. And then any council member that served on the, it was more than this, but I modified it since I've been sitting here. Any council member that agrees to take an appointment on the budget committee
It's out of their mind.
is out of their mind, no doubt about that, would get a per diem of $150 per meeting attended. That, I believe, from what I'm hearing, does not suit the needs of the people who are sitting in this room. I don't know which suits the needs of the county taxpayers best, but what I will say is I can step away from this if you guys want to come up with something better. And the only way that I will not vote in favor of whatever you guys pitch is I have made a commitment publicly that I will not vote to give myself a raise. I understand that council probably does deserve more money. And I also understand that to attract people to run for council, it probably deserves more money. Having said that, I made a public commitment. I'm not going to go back on my commitment.
But you can donate your money to
Well,
whatever.
To me.
To Brad.
So if someone has a better proposal, feel free to speak up.
Mr. Attorney, what's your perception of offices that do have more responsibility legally and just job-wise to receive more pay?
Yeah, I mean, I think you oftentimes see added responsibility, added obligations come along with additional compensation. So, yeah, I think that's very, very logical in both the private and the public sector.
Well, I think this is why there are grades. You know, grades have evolved over the years that they have. I mean, you know, about 200 years ago, I had Tammy's job, and I know what those commissioners do. I mean, they do. I know what Tammy does. She should have about a 500 is what she should be graded. The commissioners do have more responsibility. I mean, they negotiate and they do a great deal of work. I know that the auditor does. I know the county assessor does. I think that's a very extremely responsible job. You know, it's not one where you can take a big long lunch and just kick back. So I think that those are some things that ought to be given special consideration. Not that every county office holder shouldn't be remunerated. I think that they should be compensated for more than they're going to get. That's for sure. So I just wish everybody kind of jump in and put their 2 cents worth in on this.
Well, I kind of feel like we paid for that study, and if we're going to stick to it, we better stick to it. No change grades, no nothing. We wanted to get to the midpoint.
Move everybody to midpoint.
Yeah, and leave them at their grade, what the study, what we paid. You know, if they went out and got all that information, hopefully they would know.
Well, that's how WIS got messed up in the beginning, because it was implemented and then it wasn't carried forward after that, so then it just became a big crapshoot.
That's exactly true. Kevin, what's your thoughts?
I've been pretty loud with my policy, so I don't know that it's the best thing on it. As far as I'm concerned, all of us elected officials have basically the same job responsibility for the taxpayer and for our staff. I think for the most part, all elected officials do that. I do think when the study came around, and this is just a personal issue I've got, I don't think an office that has 0 requirement to hold the seat
should be at the same as an office that has zero requirement to hold the seat. Did I say that right? Say it. If an office seat has a requirement to hold the seat, that should give a plus over an office seat that does not require anything to hold the seat. I'm not saying how much of a plus, and people have made comments about the continuing education. I do get continuing education. I have done some research on what offices make on other counties of similar size as ours. And historically, your auditor makes a little bit more than your county assessor. But I think historically it was written that way because with the added money from the county assessor's continuing ed and certification, it made them basically equal. In our county, with the grades and the difference between the grades, there's too big a gap there, so it doesn't make it. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to pick on other offices because we all have to run for the seat. I guess that's the reason I like the idea of Steve's comment of elected officials all being treated the same. If we're not going to give a plus because of the requirement of the seat, then treat them all the same. Either make them all 516 or 517, whatever it is you have to make. If Harrison has to be below that because it is over just a township, that makes sense. Commissioners are an elected or an executive body, so it makes sense that they're higher. Other than that, the rest of us should all be in the same pool. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'll make my suggestion. Okay. Leave everybody where they're at, with the exception of Kevin, since he already gets a stipend of $2,500. Make him a 517. Take the stipend away and just give him the 517.
They can't take the stipend away at statute. If I can get a code, so you can.
Okay. Then I suggest we stay the same. Make everybody midpoint plus the 3%, including the commissioners, because they do just as much work as any of us other elected officials. You know, they put the grades in for a reason. We all have different jobs, duties, I say. But the one thing is, we are employees. We just weren't hired by somebody. We were hired by the voters. Okay, I've been here for 34 years.
No
I've been the employee, the chief deputy, now the surveyor. Okay, so I've done it all. You know, in the past, there's been several years where elected officials didn't get anything and the employees did. Okay, you know, we do just as much work as our employees, you know, or at least I do. I mean, I'm not one that's going to tell my employees to do something and I wouldn't do it. I got a great staff, but I do think that there is duties that other offices do that I can't do, you know. I mean, I possibly could if I learned how to do it. I mean, I don't want to deal with millions and millions of dollars, things like that. I go out and do my section corners and my legal drains and things that I know how to do. So I suggest you just leave everybody where they are, go to midpoint plus 3%. Whatever you guys want to do for the council is up to you guys on that. But I mean, I believe that we all deserve the midpoint plus 3%, just like our employees do. You know, I feel we're no different than they are when it comes to work and duties. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Just real quick, and I don't know the answer to this. What is the current grade for?
That's just what I was gonna ask.
Because
Because I don't think
even
that's
if
a grade.
516, I don't think it's 516 for, I don't have that.
I don't think it's great.
It's graded, it's
I
not
was gonna say
graded.
it's not been
We
graded
need
in
to
the
kick it up
past.
there.
So just so you.
That's why I asked that, and I was just now told a 516, and it's on this paper as a 516.
That's what you guys had approved in November.
That's what we approved in November.
Right, and I didn't think it had a grade before, so.
Okay.
I mean,
So we are at a 516 now?
As of right now,
Yeah. Okay.
that's what you guys have
again, sitting on
approved.
the opposite side, being where you guys are, I don't remember being graded, and I couldn't answer that question, because prior to you guys bringing up anything about raises or anything, I couldn't, so.
Okay.
I would,
Discussion?
I would agree with Bruce. But here's something I think that you council members should take into serious consideration. The way I read the new legislation, that per diem or something might be something you seriously want to consider. And the reason being, you're going to be responsible to review all these things.
All budgets.
Yes. And whoever's responsibility, I don't think it's going to be all 7 of you are going to sign off on it certainly at some point in time.
Well, I think that's what.
But I think that's something that you
Mr.
need to
Ellis
look at
says,
to address.
making a per diem for a meetings, any extra meetings.
Well, and again, I think it's worked well with your committees over the years, that 3 people step forward, or maybe in another type of, in another committee too. And, but you're going to have a lot of information to review, and we always reviewed those quickly, the airport, the sanitary district, the whatever, but.
Yeah, but those people, Mike, I disagree with that. I think most of those people feel it an honor to serve and do that.
No, what I'm saying is you're to review that.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have every fire budget, everything's going
Right,
on there, you know?
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We'll have a lot more meetings.
That's, yeah.
And,
yeah.
because we had talked about committees that you're on. Well, sometimes some of us are on 5 or 6 committees. I don't want to per diem for every one of those meetings, because I do it because I enjoy it, like fair board, and all those different ones. Huh?
One more thing.
Wait a minute. Bruce, you used to never speak at any of these meetings.
I know.
And now,
I like
can't
being in
make
front of
sit
you,
down.
Brad.
Norma's not here.
One thing I do want to mention, okay, Steve, if you went your way with the 517s, okay, my chief deputy, Kevin's recorder, everybody is a 12, their chief deputy. Larry is a 517 already, his chief deputy is a 13. So then you're going to need to move all the chief deputies up equal pay. So you're not just going to be moving the surveyor and the recorder and the assessor and all them up to 517s. To be equal, our chief deputies would need to be equal then too.
Why do you have to raise the chief deputy?
Because if I'm a 517, Larry's a 517, why isn't our chief deputies? If we're equal, why isn't our chief deputies equal?
So my understanding was there was one chief deputy that was disproportionate, and that was Larry's, which is currently not filled. Is that correct, Larry? Oh, well, my suggestion was going to be that we take that one back
Decrease her
down
pay?
to be in alignment with everyone else.
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that up because I know.
But they're being brought to midpoint.
Yeah, and I understand that, and that's a great thing. But I'm just saying that would be, the next would be, well, these guys are getting paid more, so let's bump these people up. I was just making that,
We may have to bump
that's why I said stay the same.
All right. You're our fearless leader.
We're needing a motion.
Can we send out for supper?
Any other things we need?
We just need clarification on the 3% midpoint question and the corner.
Right.
Those are the 2 big question marks that we would need to clarify.
That way we wouldn't have to change the whole salary ordinance.
Well, I don't know that, depending on what you do I don't know that we can avoid that. Because the salary what did the salary ordinance contemplate? It was not midpoint, correct? Yes. So the salary ordinance contemplated 3%. So if you're doing something more than that, then we would have to amend the salary ordinance to reflect that, because
Right.
that salary ordinance is what we can establish. It establishes the top amount that we can pay somebody next year.
Right.
So we would, and the elected official issue is what, brought us back here in the calendar year 2020. But that is not, that is not anything more than the, usual process of advertising as it would be an additional appropriation.
Is it easiest to start with, like, council and figure out what you guys want to do with council? Whether you stay the same as 25, give yourself a 3%, or, and then move on to other entities?
Let's do it.
Like, do them one by one, just so we get the grade right, what we're giving.
I'm sorry.
She's asking if you want to just do council first and then do everybody else after.
Right.
Or do you want to do
Start
it all together?
someplace.
Make a motion on the council.
All right. I'll make a motion, a motion for council that gets a 3% cost of living adjustment and whoever decides to be on budget committee shall get a $150 per diem per meeting attended.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on the council. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next one will be grade change. Coroner.
Do you want to give him a grade, or do you want to leave him with no grade? Give him a grade.
I think
Give him a
he
grade.
should have a grade.
His grade currently
At
as 516.
516. That's why
So we don't need to do anything unless we're changing everybody to a 517.
Okay.
So the question is, do you all want to change the others to a 517 or not?
Well, mean all of them to 517?
Except for commissioners would stay at a 518.
That's you guys.
I will be bold enough to say that I lack the experience in this particular area because I have not been around for Baker Tilly. I hear nothing but bad things about the stuff that they have brought forward, but everybody seems to be following it and saying we need to follow it, so.
Let me ask you this question. Why will he be a 516 if he's going to be full-time?
All of them.
Well, no. If we're moving them to a 517, it would include coroner.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. It would include all elected
All
officials
right.
except for commissioners and except for council.
Make that motion.
No?
What, I thought we were talking about midpoint or 3%. I mean, is the grade modifications are changing the midpoint for that position. You know, as you go up in grade, your chart changes for all of those. Now, you know, we haven't exactly updated that chart year over year, but I just want to understand, if you're taking them up a grade, if you later on take them up to midpoint, that is different than in the midpoint of where they're at now.
From their 25 salary.
In Devin's presentation that she gave them, it shows the numbers for everything.
Okay.
That's one of the options. It showed it split 517 to midpoint 3. It showed leaving about 516 to midpoint plus.
Okay, well, I just want you to
So she
understand.
covered all of them.
Okay,
Yeah, on her charts.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that grade changes the midpoint number for that position. That's all I wanted to convey.
What's your pleasure? Michael, what is your
Which-
recommendation?
Which chart are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, so in the no grade change with midpoint, your,
Except we'll have to change the, we'll have to give the coroner a grade.
you know, that's what's happening with the elected officials. Right. So if you took them, but that's just, that's not midpoint of 517. That is.
Kept everything the way it is. Grades.
Yes.
Or this would be.
This is their midpoint.
This is the midpoint.
But if
Plus
you're talking about moving everybody to a 517, which is what Steve just said, you have to know that this is based off of 560 and the 550. So everybody would be making this number, which is going to,
Change a lot.
yes.
I think you should keep the grades the same.
So,
It's supposed to be.
No. It, okay, so if you're looking at the chart that is titled grade change from what was approved 11/12/25 with midpoint, your 517 would be sitting at $85,276.
Wait, let's say it one
I
more
don't-
time.
I think we should just leave the grades where they're at
Well, I want to give you a number just so you can compare.
in position.
So out of 517 for the auditor, they would be moved to the midpoint at 85,276. At a grade 516, at their midpoint, it's 77,878. So you times that, if you're going to include, do you want to include Harrison or no?
I have another question. And I say this with the utmost respect to any elected official who's sitting out here. I made the mistake of pitching to give us, the council, a raise. And I immediately went back on it because I saw the public's reaction, which quite frankly was correct. As I look at your book that you gave us, the majority of our positions are in the middle of the group that we've been grouped with. My question is, what is the public's reaction to us? I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't go to midpoint. I'm just saying we also all need to consider what the public wants as well. And so my question is midpoint the right choice, and where does that do to us relative to all these other positions on here?
mean, in my opinion, Councilman, if you're not changing grades, then taking everybody to the midpoint is keeping what I would call the balance between the elected official and the other, the appointed officials or the employees who are hired in. I mean, that's where they are at. I'm no fan of the Baker-Tilly analysis, and, if it were up to me, I think it would just be kind of a tool that's utilized in terms of looking back and trying to gauge market conditions, but in my opinion, keeping that balance between the elected officials is, as Kevin has alluded to, an appropriate concern of the fiscal body. And I don't think there would be, with the inflationary pressures that have been across our community, I think, the proposal that I've seen for taking the elected officials to midpoint is, not out of line with raises that you see, and some of the public contracts that I've been involved with this year, and what you see in the private sector as well. So I don't think you'd get a lot of blowback.
I think what we should do is keep the grades where they're at, take everybody to midpoint, except for the coroner, which we've already done, is already taken care of. But on our decision today, I would leave the grades where they're at and move them to midpoint.
Perfect, then. Okay.
Now, you make a...
I make that motion.
Should you say it out loud so we know what it is?
I think it would be commissioners at 518.
We've got that.
Okay.
We've
so
already got
yeah.
all that information in front of us. Okay.
Commissioners at 518.
Auditor at 517. Everyone else at 516, with the exception of the Harrison Township assessor, who's at 550.
Right.
Okay.
And taking
So
them to
the
midpoint.
grades we received when we did the Baker-Tilly study, and I said that word, and we do that and then move everybody to midpoint. Yeah, we already did that. We've already got that
That's done.
done. Yeah.
And that is my motion.
That's her motion.
Okay, second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No more. It's already adapted.
It's already in.
Just a question for clarity, which midpoint? Is it-
516.
You've been told of the midpoint plus 3, you've been told of the midpoint or true midpoint, which midpoint? The same one everyone else went to? I'm
So
just asking for them.
it would be for 2020.
The mid, that's one midpoint plus 3,
Yes. So for
just asking.
Okay, motion made. Any other discussions on?
Just when you guys are considering opioid funds moving forward, there were 5 municipalities that received opioid funds: Vigo County, Riley, Sealyville, Terre Haute, and West Terre Haute. The restricted funds are restricted for a reason. They're very hard to be spent, and they got to follow the policy that the state has set forward. When our judges come and ask you guys for opioid funding, recognize that the city of Terre Haute got $3.4 million in opioid funds. Restricted opioid funds. Vigo County got $2.7 million over the 18-year span. Riley got $5,000. Sealyville got $28,000. West Terre Haute got $62,000. Why are they not asking those folks for opioid funds? Overcrowding is not a Vigo County issue, it is a shared issue across the county. And with all those available funds, we should be asking them, and anybody that comes for opioid funds,
I agree.
have you made the request to the other entities? Now, the unrestricted funds, certainly the city of West Terre Haute can use. They need that extra money to use for bridges or roads or whatever. Same thing. You know, we're going to get about $3.5 million over 18 years. The city of Terre Haute is going to get about $5 million over 18 years. So I just want you to keep that in mind when they come asking for opioid funds, that there are other agencies in the community that can also offer opioid money.
Excellent point.
Where were
Thank you.
you this
Thank you.
morning when they were in here asking for them?
I don't like to get in other departments' business.
That's why we
I
gave you a
just-
raise.
Thank you.
If there's no new business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Okay, you have Parks. Parks had came before you the very first
Oh,
day of budget
we
hearing
didn't vote on it.
for overtime. He wanted a line item for $7,500 to cover his overtime people. They do
Pioneer
pioneer
Days.
days, events like that. He had asked for that 2 years ago and never received it. So it's something that we never approved or not approved, it just, it didn't come back up again. So
Motion to approve $7,500 for overtime for Parks Department.
Second that motion.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Move made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Budget Committee.
Woo! We're done. Well, as far as we know.